3 games. That's 30 points a game in their last 6 games here. They have picked up so many points. This is why they're able to rocket their way back up the standings. This is why they're literally into top 5. They had one of the hardest day ones, one of the poorest day 1 performances that we have seen from players like Clicks, Booga, and Bizzle. They are one of the hottest trios. They have been at the top of the conversation points. And they ended with a victory, though, and now they're proving that, okay, that victory wasn't just a fluke, right? They're here, they're back in shape, and these last couple rounds have been so good for them.
It is, and you got to remember we had Jampa, Booga, Avery last FNCS finals. They placed in 3rd place. You currently have Avery with his new team in 4th place, only 1 ahead of Click. So I know they split on good terms. I know they're still friendly, but you know, there's always that bit of rivalry, right? You don't want to have your old teammates outperform you. So there is going to be a lot of love lost here potentially if they run into each other, especially being that close on the leaderboard. Scented Edgy Commandment go for an aggressive play, and Scented gets punished for it. And we see those big shotguns in play again. Scented not having the Dragon shotgun this game, which usually kind of plays into their playstyle. Coming out of Misty, they can go to the NPC, their Condor, and they can buy that one. Most often, looks like they opted to maybe upgrade more of the players' shotguns, because, I mean, at this point right now, Monster, we talked about Commandment with that big epic charge shotgun, and Scented stands up right there on not a lot of health at all. This is bad. This is disastrous for our first place team right now, but don't worry, Commandment Edgy is still there. Edgy so incredibly low. Commandment building out, trying to fight this one back. They get the finish. Scented still up. Can they pick him up here? Because this is about to be so bad for our first place team. And looks like they're duking it out with Mars on 33 points, who is below the surge, which explains why they played that so aggressively. Do they pick up Scented? This is crazy.
Oh, no. Yes, they do. They find Mars just in time, and Edgy does manage to save his teammate, and now Commandment is down, though. He's going down the river. I think he's just sliding his way down. No. He might be in the river here.
I don't know if they're going to be able to get him on. Scented going for it right now. Wow. What is happening? This is our first.
Yo, it keeps on freezing, bruh. In streaming, I'm trying to let my viewers see this, bruh. It keeps on freezing. This thing keeps on freezing, bro.
Right now, they found themselves on the low ground. They love to play down here, but not in these circumstances. They are weakened, they are wounded, but can they hold on? The minis and the bigs are getting dropped. They're still in it with a chance, but that was so close to seeing first place go down early yet again.
That was a nail-biter indeed, but they managed to bounce back. They managed to stay in the game. Commandment's got all the heals that he needs here. He's got the med kit. They have the big pots. They just have to get to the zone, buy themselves a couple of moments, and literally heal out and then take the next fight. It's costed them so much builds, though. Look at this. They just don't have the freedom just yet.
I mean, I can breathe now again. Like, this is my prediction as well. Me and Vivid have kind of put a little bit more spice on it right now, challenging each other here. But these are players that have played so consistently, and you want to see them continue to dominate as well.
They're alive.
Jack and Acorn, they're close. I have no idea how they survive that. They are now inside placement points. Any points they get now will try and push that lead that they have over every other team in the lobby. I haven't seen Slacks, Jack, and Acorn be too loud here in the feed. I haven't seen Daymir or Reverse either. So right now, we have eyes on our first place team, and they get first rotating zone. But look at the builds. I see Edgy with 31 builds total, and this is going up and across that hill. It's not the biggest mountain in this area, but it definitely is elevation that they're going to have to overcome.
Yeah, for sure, and that means they're going to have to jump down to the low ground, look for a fight, and then take the mats and hopefully replenish their way on up to the top, which gives them a very, very small window to actually do that. The execution here is going to be a close one as we look to the high ground. Clicks, Bizzle, and Booga managed to maintain and hold it again. When you saw the fly-through stat before, they're effectively averaging as many points as a victory royale coming into these rounds here. One of the biggest stride comebacks that we have seen any trio do. do, and way to do it here. Way to do it now. FNCS Day 2 Finals, when you need to put up these numbers, but there's still these 3 big games to go in front of them. It's 12 games of Fortnite and the weekends today, and right now it's only on round number 10, so they've done great so far, Aussie, but it's not completely over yet.
It's not just on them as well. Currently in this game, of the 17 teams alive, now 16, 14 of them are in the top 17. This is insane. All the teams, this is one of the most stacked games you are ever going to see in an FNCS Finals. Not just any.
Bro, don't get me, bro. I'm streaming. Right, I'm trying to show my streams, bro.
Worth of points on average from their most previous games. They need to continue that going, and they're in the position to do so. They're on the high ground. They have the loadout. They have maybe enough materials, but everyone is scrambling here. All these players are going to be running shambles as Commandment is down to 12 kills on the front side, and this zone is being relentless. It is going higher and higher. It is stretching out teams further and further. Who is going to come out on top as Commandment takes over the tarp? And look at this. This man can tarp like this. He makes decisions like this on elevation changes, and we've seen how lethal his shotgun aim can be. This is why they're in first, but this is going to be one of their most challenging games, as just look at this zone. It is thinning out. I see Damir and Reverse still in it. Commandment sends it. Edgy still in it. I see DGen, Acorn Jack Slacks, Booga clicks Bizzle. This is so stacked, Monster.
Everyone here is fighting for more prize, top 3s, and of course that Axe of Champions. Every single battle now holds so much significance to the weight into this tournament here, and they have to continue to pop off. And Scented trying to figure something out. He's changing layers. He's literally stuck down here though. And remember, Commandment had the most of the build, so they need to pick this up. He gets edited down. He has to figure it out, and he does. He manages to stay alive, but at what cost? As now he has lost so much HP, he can barely actually work their way through this, and it's all enemy builds too. It's so close, but he's still holding on.
Zone goes across a little bit right now. They have 8 eliminations. No, they get in, but can Commandment clutch up at least a top 3? A top 3 here would be massive. I saw you tweeted out, Monster. You said, Commandment, you are insane, and he is making this so easy for us because he is such a phenomenally exciting player. I don't know if he can go for the victory here. He is a solo with so many trios on top, but can get top 3. He needs to out-survive one more team. He comes around the corner.
So
he gets Teo. He takes down Teo, but he falls in 4th place. So close to that big 6-point jump. We have 3 teams, 8 players. Slacks, Jack, Acorn right now. Our 2nd place team going head to head with Clicks, Booga, Bizzle on the high ground. Our 5th place team and Chimp and Tabney, our underrated demons in this one, Monster. Anyone can take it, and it means everything for all of the teams here.
Yeah, definitely, and we're just looking at the victory lap upon victory lap here for Clicks, Booga, and Bizzle. Are we going to watch a back-to-back victory royale here now set in place once again on the FNCS stage here? And this is a first for Clicks, Booga, and Bizzle, going back-to-back on the biggest stages and showing that they are here to come back and continue the stride because they're picking up all the points.
8 eliminations back-to-back. We see a team come not out of nowhere. They've been kind of, around that top 10-point monster, but they now skyrocket themselves up, potentially into the top 3. Damir and Reverse went down early again. The back-to-back championship run is looking like it's almost over. They're going to need a huge performance. Commandment held on, but he fell just short. But honestly, right now, this is the story of Clicks, Booga, and Bizzle with a legendary comeback.
It's a comeback story. It is definitely a comeback story. And those points, as you start to rack in those victory royales, will make the difference. Don't forget, as they do that, they have the +5, +6. They keep breaking those thresholds. They're going to keep racking in and reeling in everything they're going to need. And you know what? We've said enough. We're going to toss over to Des. Give me what you got, guys.
Hey, baby, don't call it a comeback. Booga's been here for years, okay? All right, listen. This game was pretty fun, for me specifically. Because I'm hanging out with Reese and Vivid in the back, and every time things seem to go wrong, these trios say, no. Check this out. We're talking a revive. We're talking about Scented pushing the bounds. We're talking about Clicks, Booga just showing up, getting the back-to-back, this time with 8 eliminations in case you missed the last game. They got a victory royale as well with 7. Boys, these guys, they're coming back strong.
Yeah, and we're going to actually be looking at a couple clips here from teams and what they need to do to give themselves the best chance possible. Now, Macwood, Bucket, and Kanata have been hovering around the top 10 slot today and from yesterday as well. So, what do they need to do to edge themselves over that little threshold there? And honestly, watching the Elam fade and watching these guys play today, it seems like always when the first or second moving zone pops, they get into a little bit of a fight, and one of them always seems to go down. Now, what's good about it, though, is that they follow it up. Whoever, the last two people alive always followed up with a couple elims on that team that took out one of their players. But after that, they're just a duo, you know. I swear it's happened so many times today. So if they can find their rhythm, you know, start making plays as a whole trio, they will fly up the leaderboard in these last two games.
Yeah, we've talked about that, like how players are needing to stick together, their placement over and over again. And you know what? A team that's been doing that very, very well is Booga, Clicks, and Bizzle. You know, these guys have just been performing over and over again here. Like, these times today are absolutely on fire. And we know the whole point of this is we want to talk about the teams and what do they need to do if they need to get into that top 3 slot. But to be honest, Clicks, Booga, and Bizzle have already made those adjustments, right? They are already performing over and over again. They just need to be consistent in what they're doing.
Yeah, they have definitely turned around. Their first 4 games on day 1, they did not place better than 12th place, and now they're picking up back-to-back victory royales towards the end of day 2 here. They have definitely found their rhythm. They are making plays. They are taking people off fight, and they are just dominating from the high ground.
Absolutely. Huge plays from these guys. You know, we've seen them over and over, a little bit less consistently than other teams, right? We've seen them have big pop-off games here and there. You know, we've not seen them have the same consistency as we've seen Clicks' teams today. And some kind of guys like, let's be real, Set and Command Adrian. Those guys have just been going crazy today. So hopefully all these teams are going to need to continue what they're doing, but get those big games. There's only 2 left.
Now that the trio's like firing on all cylinders, right? They've had these 2 games back-to-back. You know, Vivid, I gotta ask myself, like, could they do this? If they could just keep doing this, right? If they can find that space where they could just be in the exact same position, they could potentially continue this streak. But, you know, Vivid, I mean, right now it's Commandment, Scented, and Edgy. How are you feeling about this right now?
You know, Commandment, Scented, and Edgy need to have a bad game to give anybody else a shot here. You know, I was talking about that game. I was like, for this to be close, they need to have a bad game. And then I saw like one of them get knocked, and then I was like, oh, like, no, this is the bad game. We're having like, and then they get the res off. They have like no mats, and then, you know, they pan off them for like 3 minutes, and then we come back to them, and they have like 100 Bill G's or something like that. I'm just like, okay. Like, I'm not sure where that came from. Like, that was like the most shambles game ever, and they turned it into an absolutely like beautiful point game there, and they are maintaining their first place slot on the leaderboard. But Clicks, Booga, and Bizzle are going to be soaring up to the 4th place slot here, trailing by 50 points. I tell you what, they win these last 2 games. They do the back-to-back-to-back-to-back. They might have a chance.
I mean, based on their performance today, it's possible, but let's be real. At the same time, like, Commandment's team is just being so consistent, even in the worst situations. Like you said, you know, we came back to them, they had nothing. They were just empty. They had nothing left at this point. A couple builds, they had some heals. They had a really bad zone in terms of just like sheer elevation for them as well, because remember, this was this really awkward hilly zone which was kind of going along the water at the same time. And you know, for a low ground team, they definitely benefit a lot more on those flat zones on the ground. And somehow, you know, the camera panned away, it came back, they had a wiped entire trio, and they were just completely chilling. So it seems like whatever situation you put Commandment, Scented, and Edgy in, they're still just gaining points regardless. They are just that consistent. So, you know, if we want to see Clicks, Booga, and Bizzle take the first slot in particular, this team's going to need a bad game, and it seems to be impossible at this point.
Yeah, Commandment, Scented, and Edgy are locked in. They deserve it. They put in a lot of time into this game. But trio, you know, we've talked a little bit about it. Bucky, Kanata, and Macwood. Let's not leave them out of the conversation just yet.
Oh yeah,
they are in the 5th place slot. They have 205 points. They are trailing by a mere, 73 points behind Aussie's prediction or whatever. But, you know, anything can happen, and my fingers are crossed for them.
Wow. That would be the story, huh? Aussie Antics finally getting predictions right. Just kidding, Aussie. I know you're a legend. But of course, gentlemen, I'm never going to hear the end of this from Aussie. I'm always on Team Aussie, but now I have to throw him the shade. You know, gentlemen, we still have 2 games left to go here, and anything is possible, right? In all these moments, these pockets of time where we think the trio may be down and out, we realize we cannot count them down and out, right? Because they can change games in a moment. But it's time. Game number 5. We draw closer. Let's get ready, Fortnite fam. Here we go.
Jumping into our second last game of the day, I'll put my reputation on the line of Commandment Sense and Edgy. There's no one I trust more to bring this home. They are playing phenomenal. Reese, I want to hear you get a little bit louder, mate. You did side with me as well. You've been a bit quiet here, Monster. I mean, we have a phenomenal tournament on our hands, though. It is so close at the top.
Hey, listen, it's a tough situation for Reese, all right? You know, he's sitting in the enemy's den here. He's got to keep a low profile. Don't worry, Reese will come down off the battle bus after we're done casting these tournaments to scoop you up. We got you covered. But we are jumping in to these next games. They set it perfectly for us. There's only 2 more rounds of Fortnite in front of us, and this could be either the best stretch comeback that we've seen from Clicks, Bizzle, and Booga to take a tournament ever, or one of the most dominant performances of perfect Fortnite we'll ever get to witness from Commandment, Scented, and Edgy. There's so much stories on the line here. Let's also not forget that there is such a real potential here for Day, Miro, Reverse 2K, or Slacks, Acorn, and Jack to just outperform everyone and play exceptional Fortnite now in the last 2 rounds.
We've seen how quickly it can change up when a team turns on the heat right now. We have Clicks, Booga, Bizzle doing it. They had a very struggling day 1 at the start, the first 3 games, and we talked about it last game. They are averaging a victory hour worth of points a game in their last 6 games, and that was the stat before they just picked up their second victory hour in a row with 8 eliminations. So they are absolutely on fire right now, but Commandment, Scent, and Edgy are playing so consistent. That 4th place with 9 eliminations right now. They really are playing almost perfect Fortnite. They need to maybe just hold on to it that little bit longer. But as we saw a few games ago, if they go down in first place, everyone is so close and they will overtake them.
Yes, sir. And now look at this. Sense and Edgy have never lost an event when in first going into the final game. Let that sink in. Now, what that means, though, is that we still have a round of Fortnite in front of us. Depending on how this game plays out, we might just see the prophecy come true here.
Hey, we've seen big legacies broken here as well. It went all the way back in the qualifying weeks in the heat. We saw the Calculators team had to win the reboot round for him to continue his legacy of making it to every FNCS finals. Unfortunately, that one had fallen. We've talked about how Zate is one of the 2 players here today, like Chap, who's placed top 10 in every finals they've appeared in. Zate's currently in 10th, but Chap is way down there. So today is the day for records to be broken, but stories to be made here, because we are creating legends. We've talked about it. Scented, Edgy, Commandment, the legends of low ground. But man, what consistency. Never losing event when going into the final game in first. That means they handle the pressure, and that's what they're going to need to do here today as well, though. They came 2nd place last finals. Now they want to come out on top, though, and they were pretty close as well, but it ended up being about a 24-point difference last finals going into that last game. So they need to step up and hold on to this one.
Yeah, it's crazy how much of a difference it's been, but also how much of a difference it hasn't been, because it's the same teams showing up, you know, for the last 2 finals, basically giving us what's the word? Is it not a trilogy, but whatever that next one is? Is it the sequel, right? The what comes
Duology?
next here?
I'm doing the same thing. I mean, we make Fortnite sound fancy. Come on. They are giving us that. I mean, we've got the same name showing up here. I mean, we've got multiple FNCS this season. We could potentially see a trilogy, and with these teams, with these players showing up, remember, we've talked about it, Monster. Top 3 on the line right now will be automatically invited to the next finals. And when you look at the top 3 right now on the leaderboard, they are 3 teams that all came top 5 last finals and stayed together. So the big names are sticking together and they're performing consistently. So I am almost guaranteeing that we will turn this into a trilogy. But today we have to focus on part 2.
That's right. That's exactly what we're looking at here. Acorn, Jack, and Slacks, though, that's their draw spot. That's their story. Now, for another team that's up on that big pedestal here, 2nd place, somehow they have let 1st place slip out of their fingertips, and it's been a claw back ever since. And you know what? They're not giving up easily. These last couple rounds, they still have stepped up and put themselves to where they need to be. 88 points on the day here today. Averages them way up, though. This is still a great performance. Don't count them out. They're in 253 overall. Pretty much neck and neck with our Slurpy Swamps team of Slacks, Acorn, and Jock.
It's a phenomenal performance by anyone here today, and that's what you want to see. It is so close coming into these final games of who can just hold on to it and who can handle the pressure here. We've proven that Day, Mirror, and Reverse can do it. They went into the last game in 1st place, and they held on to it last FNCS, so we'll see right now. But Jack, Acorn, and Slacks are used to playing catch-up as well. We still saw in the feed that there was big fights breaking down over that RPG at the Hydro Dam. I've talked about it. That is also their win condition. If they can play aggressive, maybe say, hey, we're going into the last couple games in 3rd. Let's not play to hold this. Let's play to win and overtake. Let's play a bit more aggressive, and we're seeing a little bit of that here, Monster. We're seeing a few teams go down early, a few players, but ultimately, in this 12-game format, 10 games in with our second last game, everyone is still playing their hearts out here today.
Yeah, for sure. It's still a race here. It's still a marathon, guys. These 2-day formats are grueling. They're mentally taxing. It means so much to not only the pro players, but for the fans involved as well, because you get to root them on for rounds after rounds of Fortnite competition. And listen, we talked about what we've watched and witnessed in these final moments. It's not just, you know, clutch ups from here and there. No, we're looking at full-on 3v3s, full-on collision courses of the best teams in the world, especially in the region, going head-to-head. Like, we're looking at content and footage here that's going to last the test of time here.
We are seeing some of the biggest names in NA East from World Cup days going all the way back, clashing at the very end. We've seen a few attempts at solo clutches like Commandment last game coming in fourth, but as you saw, they didn't break into the top 3. It is so difficult right now to get those last few big placement points because you have those full trios that are up there on the leaderboard, consistently up, consistently playing healthy, and we have a few people playing upset though as well. Clicksburg and Bizzle have jumped up massively. There is so much history between all these teams before. They all have such big legacies, and that's what NA East is about, right? We have players who have been at the top for such a long time, trying to hold on with other players trying to jump up and take their positions. Slackjack, Acorn as well. They haven't really had their moment like we saw from Daymir and Reverse to win a finals last season. They need to step up and do a little bit more, because I've been talking about how I think they are some of the most consistent players in the world, but people don't really focus on that consistent third and second. They look at the very top.
Yeah, you got to perform the task at hand, and the task is win, win, win. For Reverse 2K, Miro, Day here, that is what they need to do. And again, one shortcoming, one short game. They fell short just a single time, and now they are trailing behind by 20 points. And that just, again, when you are looking at how consistent these teams are, apples for apples, pound for pound here, it's close. It's close. There's no room for error. We're watching near perfect Fortnite out of 3 trios right now. And then the just, I don't know what to call it, just the Superman stride right from team number 4, which is Clicksburg and Bizzle. Here's a squad that definitely has popped up today as well. Illis, Creo, and Avery, the Victory Royale that they picked up earlier, put them in contention for my pick, which was Dejan, Aegis, and Skittles, which they're also playing out of their minds, guys. These guys are all playing great, but for the last 2 rounds, in order for these other people to come back up, I'm really thinking that someone has to land on first place, second, or third, or give them some kind of clash in the mid-game here. Give them a run for their money.
Yeah, because they are playing out very stacked. In the last few games, you'll tend to see that players really need to put up big eliminations. And I was going to say, we've been talking about those consistent teams that have been staying together on the top, right? Been playing together for multiple seasons, having huge performances. But if you look at the top 7 right now, there are so many teams that have split and reformed that have a lot to prove against their old teammates. We have Creo, obviously playing with Bucky and Kanata for the longest time. Creo's in 7th, Bucky and Kanata in 5th with their new forming of Macwood. I also talked earlier about how Booga split up with Avery right now. Booga's team in 4th place right now, Avery down in 7th. So there are a lot of players who have been playing together for a long time now on separate teams that are really clashing here, and you know they're going to be hitting the DMs and having conversations after this about who came out on top, because we now have a consistent game mode in Fortnite right now. We're going to have 3 more FNCSs this year of trios, so it is really about focusing on being the best trio you can be. There's no question of whether you're going to play with a duo next season. Are you going to be able to bring it back in solos? No, you need to continue being the best of the best at trios, as Commandment sends Edgy make a really wide rotate here. Remember, they're dropping out of Misty Meadows and they're dropping in over here more towards Dirty Docks, so very deliberate rotate from these guys to bring them onto a less congested side. But do they have their Storm Surge tags?
And so let's just think about this. How much pressure is going to be alleviated from a trio if they qualify into top 3, right? Yeah, of course we want the active champions. Of course that's what you're fighting for. But at the end of the day, you want to be coming back here to the big final stage to compete again. And the way you do that is secure that top 3. That'll punch your ticket. That'll lock in your number for that next FNCS as well. So there's so much more riding on the line outside of the cash, outside of the active champions, outside of the bragging rights of being the #1 team in the world. But it is still a matter of putting up for these last 2 rounds, and now we're watching our first place team right here get a bit contested. Sentence gonna get a beamed. Ooh, that's a shield crack as well. Uh-oh.
And they're going to tend to hit the rotate around this mountain here. You're pretty sure Centered Edge and Commandment, they wanted to go straight through that one. They wanted to white line it to the next zone, but unfortunately, some big shots laid down. They're going to have to go around the outside, and that's where the loot comes into as well. Coming out of Misty Meadows, do they have the chug splashes? So important when you have to heal up the entire team as well. And you talked about the money there as well, Monster. I don't think we've highlighted that enough here right now. The first place team is going to walk away with $50,000. $50,000. Second place, $35,000. So that extra one place on the leaderboard gets you $15,000 each. We have the lion's share of over $500,000 going up for Lion here today. And then we have obviously EU this morning giving away over $1 million, Monster. Like, this is truly life-changing amounts of money.
Yeah, and once we jump into that last game, we'll be calling it. You're going to watch tens of thousands of dollar box fights on the line when these guys start going head-to-head. And, you know, there's no other way. Like, how is that not exciting? You put everything else aside. You just look at the cash that's on the line here. That alone is enough to bring jitters and excitement to the pros. Bring nerves, right? And it doesn't matter how good you are. Everyone's going to be nervous in that last game.
It's life-changing as well, but one of the things I love as well on social media, you saw Hen Janice and Chapix flexing the champion's pickaxe, right? They're walking away with hundreds of thousands of dollars, and everything I saw them posting was about pickaxes and the clout and the pride they have in themselves as players. Because again, these guys have been putting in so much time and effort. As we talk about the money, but I guarantee a lot of them are just doing it for the love of the game, and they want to perform and they want to gain that respect from their peers. Miro Day and Reverse have done it once, but like I talked about, specifically for a player like Reverse 2K, who I think for having won an FNCS still doesn't get the respect they deserve. They really have something to prove, as Centered Commandment Edgy in first place have everything to prove, everything to hold on to right now, and they've built up such a reputation. The low ground kings. They came second last FNCS, coming over from NA West where they performed so well, people doubting whether they could do it on East. They've proven they can come second, but can they prove that they can win on this region?
Yeah, that's all they're literally missing here. And I mean, listen, it doesn't matter what the results are coming out of this. What they have done today will be cemented in the highlights for a long time. Like I said, these are some of the most explosive games we have watched, some of the best performances from the low ground. And again, there's just so much to learn from that. These other teams, honestly, you just look at the skill that they're bringing to the table. I mean, they could teach a thing or two to so many other trios out here as Booga's connected shot after shot. Okay, keeping that surge nice and comfortable there for themselves.
They needed that surge as well, because even with those two big tags from the legendary heavy assault rifle, they're still not that healthy. They're only 90 above here, and they've lost Bizzle. So this is down now to Booga and Clicks. We saw them on the high ground win that game as a duo earlier today. So we're going to have to see if they can somehow do it again, because this is not looking fantastic for a team that's now in fourth place and seeing themselves just rising up the leaderboard. The snipes come out and they just don't connect here. But this is a team that's already done phenomenal things, especially Booga. World Cup solo champion, came top 3 last FNCS, but Clicks, NRG Clicks, one of the biggest names, if not the biggest names in the scene, needs to prove that he's still got it here today. Played insane. First place in their qualifying week, first place in the heats, but when it comes to finals, Clicks is notorious for just falling a little bit short. But right now, they are bringing it back in a big way, but as a duo, it's going to be hard to hold on to.
Yeah, it's going to be so hard to hold on to. So let's go ahead and check this out here. Click sitting in the bush now, trying to just slide his way on up, make this rotate through, and man, we've seen them have such a huge stride on the comeback, but you brought it to my attention that Bizzle is definitely down and out of this trio, so, you know, I want to know the story there. What is happening? Have we seen the crazy run come to its end? Are they fizzling out here? Or will they figure this out and make it happen as a two-man team? I mean, they secured the win in the last game just like that, too, so, you know, anything can happen here.
Is possible, and they're in the zone right now. I'm just worried about their surge, but we dipped below it. I think this is the first time this weekend, or at least today, because again, even in these 12-game formats, at the end of the day, we talked about it earlier with Jack Acorn Slacks, right? Playing 3 tournaments back-to-back, having the mental fortitude to withstand that. Even 6 games on the biggest stage, it becomes taxing, and I think this is the first time we haven't seen an active Storm Surge on the 70-player zone. So right now, it looks like players are going down a little bit earlier. We've already had 8 teams exit the field here today, so So it's a decent spot to be a duo. There's more center zone. There was no active surge on 70, but I have to wonder if it's going to be there for 50, because as a duo, finding your tags is so much harder. But you do have the potential of Clix and Booga. They have some of the best accuracy in the game, as Jack Acorn Slacks, a team that's so high up on the leaderboard right now, doing such big things that have gone a little bit quiet, not because of poor performances, but today so far they have managed to get a 4th, a 10th, a 3rd, and a 3rd. So they're just getting inside that top 3, getting that big 6 points, but then it's stopping there. And I think the biggest issue today we've seen from the last few games, Monster, is the eliminations. Only 4 in the second last game we've seen, and then 3 in the last game. That's not a lot for the teams in the top 3. They're really putting up big eliminations.
Yeah, I'm looking at the elim numbers, and you know what? Coming into this, our second place of Day, Miro, and Reverse UK, they had more average elims before, so they are definitely trailing behind. You can tell that things are becoming tougher and tougher as teams are starting to really hunker down here. And, you know, the elims are swinging in different ways, right? They're going to teams like Clix, Booga, and Bizzle who are popping off. And when you have other teams, you know, these anomalies popping up out of nowhere, because that's what it is, right? Just these strides out of nowhere. The points are being divvied out in all kinds of different directions. And let's think about this. Clix, Booga, and Bizzle, they have 3 victory royales, and they're only in 4th place. So we're just talking about a ridiculous comeback story for this trio here. And, you know, the show is putting on for them. The spotlight is definitely here.
Yeah, we've seen very few teams across the regions be able to put up those 3 victory hours as well. Last night we did see, obviously, you and me commentated the OC Finals Day 2. We saw Sync, Sorif, and Volks put up 3 victory hours and come in 2nd place to a team that only had 1 victory hour, Luda, Muzz, and Speedy. So at the same time, those victory hours are huge, but this format rewards consistency. Clix, Booga, Bizzle didn't have the good start yesterday at day 1 they needed, and they're trying to come back now, but it might not be enough as we see Kanata, Macwood, and Bucky set up on top of Day, Miro, and Reverse. That's 5th place on 2nd place. All these big teams are still in it right now. All the big teams are up. Last game we talked about it. What was that stat, Monster? 14 of the teams in the 17 that were remaining were on top 17 on the leaderboard. Like, the best of the best are making it to these end games and trying to change things up.
Yeah, absolutely. Those teams right there. And again, if they're up at those standings, that means every fight up there was worth, in its own, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And now we're watching Clix and Booga being a man down. You can see how it really chips into the surge, but they're making up for lost time here. They're making up for the man down by taking these fights, and this is actually going to cause a lobby focus in. And Clix finds a refresher here. And Clix finds a refresher here.
Same time, they're in a decent centered edgy commandment go down here. 20 teams alive. They are out before placement points, and it is Day, Mirror, Reverse, Slacks, Jack, Acorn, Clix, and Booga's chance to jump up and overtake them. Everything on the line. Can they hold on to their history right now, Monster? We know if they are in 1st place going into the last game, they have never lost a tournament, but are they going to be in 1st place? They're down early.
This might be a first. This might be the first we've ever seen, and now it's so realistic. The chances are starting to slip away for them. But you know what? We are setting ourselves up for a big finals now, with 1st place out here, with a 20-point gap, with some of the most consistent placements and just gameplay we've seen come out of that 1st place team of Commandment, Sensitive, and Edgy. They are now opening up the checkbook for everyone else. And the question is, how much are they willing to give away here? And again, it's still up to the other pros. It's still up to these other trios to make this last game count, to make this game 11 mean everything for them, because if they don't get points here, they lose their opportunity, and it will be gone forever.
Hey, I've put my name and reputation online. I've gone toe-to-toe with Vivid here. I've called it out. I have put everything on Centered Edgy Commandment. I'm devastated to see them go down, but as a viewer, as a spectator, someone who loves the storylines, this is so intense. We now have a chance to see them dethroned from their 1st place going into the final game. If you're just tuning in, you don't know why me and Monster are so hyped. This is the 2nd last game of NA East FNCS Finals this weekend. Our 1st place team is down. They got 0 placement points. There is 30 points for a victory hour worth of placement for Day, Mirror, and Reverse in 2nd place, Slacks, Jack, Acorn in 3rd, and Clix and Booga in 4th. Any of those teams can realistically overtake them here if they get that victory hour. And Booga's team right now is on back-to-back victory hours. This could make it the hat trick as Slacks, Jack, and Acorn, our 3rd place team, set up for high ground. If they can take and hold this, this could be everything we need to see them in 1st place.
But they get pushed down, they get pushed back, and now they do get that first full moving zone, so they will be able to play into it. And it's already rotating, it's already cutting across. They're going to have to stop here. Hunker down and really figure out what it is that they want to do next. This next play is so important. They can't throw this opportunity to take first. They're going to go ahead and rotate across on high ground. It's a completely new trio, one that we have not seen up top, and they're looking to go ahead and pull something through. It's a Zervo and Dusky down there leading the tarp. Who can overtake them? Who can snatch up height? Or will everyone else come on down and fight for the point that's available in the low ground? Here we are. Clix and Booga still in the game here, still in the fight.
Still pushing through, and they're trying to make massive efforts here. Booga is down here. It's all up to Clix. All eyes on Clix. He's used to it. He's one of the biggest names in the scene, and all the pressure is on him to see what he can do. 2 Slurpfish, has the minis, has a decent loadout here. Only 36 builds, though. Zone goes back. Gets a bit of breathing room to try and get more of these placement points. That team on high ground, Azervo's team, is in 20th place right now. They are trying to have their big surge up on the leaderboard, and they are taking points from the teams at the top, though. Jack, Acorn, and Slacks are lurking. They're hanging just below. This is deliberate positioning. If you see a team here, it means they're looking to go for high ground. He's looking up for it. They only have 14 builds on Acorn, though. I don't know if they're going to be able to take it with what they have. If they didn't want this high ground, they would be dropping lower, and that's maybe the call as Acorn hits the bounce to the front side. Mars picks up Shark. Bucky's still in this as well. Aegis goes down, so our teams in the top 10 are here, but it's all about second and third. What is Reverse 2K Day and Miro doing now to try and jump up and hold on to their back-to-back FNCS championship?
Here's another team, though. We see Acorn, Slacks, and Jack down low. We saw a little glimpse of Bucky still in this game. Kanata and Macwood there to back him up. Slacks is going to go in and find Crumble now as well, so that is big for them. These points, they're chipping away. They're closing the gap. Remember, it was only 20 points, and now with the placement points really starting to be diced out here, this is the comeback story from the trios that we want to see. Click still alive here. Top 10, what are you going to do to go ahead and put up some numbers? He's only got a blue tactical shotgun. This is going to be tough for him.
If anyone can do this, it is the big Clix right now. He's working his way through the tops. They're all metal, so he is blind right now. He can't see where he's going. He doesn't know what's ahead of him. He just keeps finding metal after metal, but he finds a safe spot, the blue tactical shotgun. It would be miraculous to get a victory out of this 3 in a row, but what can he do? Every single team that goes down is one more point he so sorely needs for his team in 4th. I can only imagine the amount of eyes that Clix has on him right now as he tries to close this one out. DJN goes down the feed. Bucky's on the low ground. Kanata's on the low ground. We're going to harpoon the mats off Macwood. I don't know if we have any full health trios still in this right now, as Clix is still going. He has just gotten 2 extra placement points since we last watched him, but surely he can only hide for so long. He's going to have to find a team soon. The zone goes out. He's got no builds, and his movement right now is perfect, Monster. He is just hiding from everyone.
Jack is going to fall there too to Frist, and Frist is up top now. He's going to make the edit onto Clix. What is Clix going to do? He's on a run right now. He's been spotted out. Great shot, though. Fires back, walks into the zone. He needs the siphon. One more tick, and it's not going to be enough. Down goes Riversound. Down goes Clix. But now we come to the low ground here of Bucky and Kanata still in the fight here. Remember, they were in the top 5 as well. They can overcome, overtake, make the last game interesting, and they're still doing it. They're going to find one. Can they find 2? It's looking like it, and Bucky is on fire before he gets taken out. The follow-up from Kanata was good, though. And now 3 teams remain here.
Acorn goes down. Is Slacks and Jack still in this right now? No, they are not. We have Dom and Dusky on the high ground. We have Kanata on the low ground. This team right now, Bucky, Kanata, Macwood, are in 5th place. They're squaring off with 20th place right now, so we know who this means more for. Dom has the heal off. Unless he's messed up this med kit, you have to imagine that he is going to win this game. It doesn't even come down to the splashes. Dusky goes down and takes measures into his own hands, takes out Kanata. But Monster, I didn't see Day Mirror in reverse in that one. I only saw Slacks, Jack, and Acorn, and we had eyes on Clix. Were they able to jump up with Censored, Edgy, and Commandment in 1st place, going down before any placement?
That's just it, exactly. Reverse 2K, Miro and Day were not there. Slacks, Acorn, and Jock will rise up. Clix will definitely rise up a 7th place finish. But Macwood, Bucky, and Kanata, them two. We know what top 3s can bring to the table here. They just did that.
That's 25 points right now. I don't know how many eliminations they had. It could be enough to skyrocket them up.
Yeah, for sure.
this final game
started. In third place, we had Acorn, Slacks, and Jack. And these guys were absolutely popping off, right? They've been so consistent all game. The last 2 games they played, not including the last one, was 2 third places. So they're consistently getting into that top 3 where the big placement is. And really, you know, their average elimination is 5.9. So performing very, very well as a team overall. And like, this is what we know. No, these guys were huge in their heat, having a 279 points total, which was incredible, right? The most on any heat on any region. And we thought, are they going to be able to continue that? So far, their performance definitely has shown that they have the potential to take that first place slot.
Yeah, and then we have another clip here from Miro, Day, and Reverse. Again, look how these guys are in sync. They are just immediately going for the same exact opponent at the same exact times. Just timing their shots really, really well together. Look, again here, you know, they're together. They're backing each other up. They're just always cohesive in how...
Yeah, and you know, we've seen them over and over. Today, they've not been showing up as much, though. So I'm thinking the leaderboards will definitely have changed around a little bit. We'll have to wait and to see how they come up. But you know what? Like last game, they can definitely pull it off. We've seen they've been able to get, and they might be able to have that 2-time FNCS championship, in particular, in a row. You know, right now, we've seen Scented, Edgy Command. We have talked about these guys a lot today, and for good reason. They have been explosive, in particular, using that Dragon's Breath shotgun from Scented. You know, the amount of top 3s they've gotten have been absolutely incredible, but you know, their eliminations and their ability to find these spaces in the zone is amazing. In game 10, we remember seeing them having that incredible clutch where they had almost nothing remaining, but in that last game there, they actually ended up going down and getting 0 points, I think. Let me check. Yes, 0 points indeed over that team. So this is no over that first place slot.
Yeah, Reese, I was mentioning that they needed to have a bad game for this leaderboard to be competitive. And with that bad game, this leaderboard is going to be very, very interesting to look at because we know that we saw Slacks, saw Bucky, Kanata, and Macwood. I really can't wait to see the leaderboard.
Well, Vivid, we're about to see standings are different now.
Ooh.
They finally drop out of that first place spot, but now, as you just talked about, Slacks, Acorn, and Jock, they've jumped up there, okay? They're now holding it down. It's only a 5-point difference, but still, you look at third, Day, Miro, Reverse, they are currently holding the axe of champions. They're the champions coming out of last FNCS, and with a late game surge, they can still pull it off, Reese.
Wow. I mean, they can still pull off, absolutely. You know, this lead between Slacks and Commandment, definitely still close, but Slacks has been, and their team have been so consistent so far. The last 3 games, third, and fourth. So, you know, in order for Day, Mirror, and Reverse, they're probably, to get that first place slot, you know, they're probably going to need a top 3. And at the same time, they're going to need one of the most consistent teams, actually the most consistent team in their placement, to have a bad game. You know, their average placement means 7.09 so far, which is absolutely nuts. So in order for Daymir and Reverse to get into that first place slot, they have to pick up pretty much a victory royale, and at the same time, make sure the 2 most consistent teams in the lobby don't perform.
Right now that anybody in that top 5 will be one of our FNCS champions. I think anybody out of the top 5 right now most likely will not be able to take this home. So we're going to be looking at a battle between Slacks, Acorn, and Jack, Commandment, Sen, and Edgy. They are the closest to the top. But if they both have bad games, then these 3rd, 4th, and 5th place trios, which are Reverse's trio, Bucky's trio, and Clix's trio, if they have a pop-off game when those 2 trios have a bad game, then they are for sure in the running for taking home the championship.
Yeah, and just to be clear, while you're watching this next game, keep an eye on the elimination feed at the top left. Right now, Slacks, Acorn, and Jack, 5 points. Only 5 points ahead of Commandment, Scented, and Edgy. That's 3 eliminations right now to take them over and above. So if Commandment, Scented, and Edgy get 3 eliminations, say they get a wipe off spawn, they're actually going to be ahead of Slacks, Acorn, and Jack, and it's going to be everything to play for it in your top 2. Then adds everything we just talked about Day, Miro, and Reverse coming back for the back-to-back championships. On top of that, we have an exciting final game right here.
It is time. We're jumping out of the battle bus one last time in NA East, so casters, take it away.
Very much for hitting the nail on the head. You couldn't have said it better, and this is it, the final game of the FNCS finals. Here today for the NA East region is about to be underway, and what an explosive day it has been. We now have our top 5 teams who are in the race for the championship title here today. This Axe of Champions is right in front of all of their grasp. Can they grab it though, Ozzy?
Can they grab it? And right now, this first zone sees that our first and second place team, second place being Commandment Centered Edgy at Misty Meadows, and our first place team, Slacks, Jack, and Acorn of Slurpee Swarms inside the first zone. So this is favorable to both of them. Neither one getting an advantage right now. Reset it up perfectly, Monster. You did too. There is 3 eliminations difference right now. That is it between first and second. So every slight advantage is going to matter. They said keep your eyes on the feed. Don't worry. Me and Monster are very much going to be doing that, because this is about to be one of the most exciting games of Fortnite you have ever watched. Everything comes down to this. Right now, we have Commandment Centered Edgy, who came second last FNCS Finals, in second. They don't want to do that again. They won the Victory Royale, and we have Jack, Acorn, and Slacks, who have never been close to this one. They came 5th last Finals. They've done everything leading up to this. They need the win to put it on their resume.
Yeah, let's just not forget, of course, what is on the line. Outside of that, Kanata's going to find one there. Hold up, though. Mars gets knocked. That's a contested drop. Does that mean Mars is going back to the old trusty Craggy Cliffs? That's what he does when everything's on the line. He goes back to what he knows best, and that's his drop spot. Kanata's going to go in and finish that one up there, too. So there's already interesting things unfolding here in the last game.
I mean, when there was only 3 points of difference between Bucky's team in 4th and Clix's team in 5th, each elimination is massive, and we're setting the stage for who's going to walk out with that Axe of Champions in first place. But you and me, Monster, we've been talking about how huge it is to place top 3 as a team, to get guaranteed invitation to the next FNCS Finals right now. Daymir and Reverse are up there. They're in 3rd right now. They're a few points down from 2nd, but everyone is close behind them. Bucky, Kanata, Macwood, only 9 points behind them in 4th, and then Clix, Booga, Bizzle right now on 241, only 12 points behind them, and they're coming off the back of 2 victory hours in 3 of their last games. So everyone is playing for this one right now.
Yeah, for sure. And let's not forget, Clix was also down Bizzle in the last round there. It was just Booga and Clix working their way through that last game, just trying to figure it out, trying to stay alive, and they did just that. Just phenomenal movements from all the trios involved. I still can't believe, though, I still cannot believe Scented, Commandment, and Edgy gave up the lead. They gave up that first place spot by falling early, and we see what happens. Who knows?
Slurpee, they are still looking fantastic, and I got to imagine, Monster, do you think there's any chance Slacks, Jack, and Acorn go for the big game? Do they look over at Hydro Dam to try and get that RPG, or do they just play the Fortnite that's got them to this point?
I don't know. We've already saw them lose to Zaitsaf in stretch before. It would just be such a risk. Or it would just be such a risk to
without placements. Only one where Commandment, Sent, and Edgy have had 3. So right now, consistency actually does favor Slacks, Jack, and Acorn. It would have to be one of 2 of the games that they throw to go down before 17 teams.
Yeah, and let's just bring in, might as well rope in Day, Miro in reverse to this as well, because they, in the last 2, or the last 3, they fall in twice outside of the big placement there too, with no eliminations, and that's why they're hard stuck at 253. So you have to think, as we're focusing on this team, they've given away those 2, you know, it shouldn't happen anymore. It really shouldn't happen anymore.
You have to think, last 12 games that we saw of Trio FNCS Finals, that team was the most consistent on the day. They won by a solid 20-plus points over Centered Edgy Commandment. They've had the consistency in the past. They were set up to be not only the first players in NA East to have 2 times FNCS titles under their belt, they were going to do it back to back. And that's what that team has been triumphing back to back. But unfortunately for them, it's looking like Commandment, Centered Edgy, Slacks, Jack, and Acorn have set the pace. But here they are. They're setting up. If they can get an early trio wipe, if they can play aggressive, and look at this, they aren't playing scared. They're not trying to hold on to third right now, Monster. This is the movement of a team that is trying to take first with a 105 snipe to open this up. And if they push this fight, this is everything you need to know. This team is definitely not playing for third.
Yeah, they have to be careful though, because Creo, Illison, they were 30
and play together with is what ultimately leads to success. We're going to potentially see a podium finish today of teams that we've seen in this situation before. That means a lot going forward into a year.
$1 million on the
Guys,
line
if it looks
here.
blurry,
So
it's not
if
my game. It's the
everything else
screen
wasn't
and
enough,
stuff.
if the pressure of just, you know, proving that you're the best and maintaining your lead and staying performance in shape, extra cash that's there too. It's all riding on the line here. These fights that they're taking, they're nerve-wrenching. They are nerve-wracking for them too.
So, yeah.
You have to be careful. You have to play perfect Fortnite right now, and you cannot afford to miss a shot here. You just can't.
You just can't, and even though this is the 12th game of the weekend, we still have 27 teams, 79 players. We're teeing up for what I imagine will be probably just less than what you need for active Storm Surge. We need 70 players alive by the time the next zone closes, but at the same time, I have to think players are still in this one. They're still showing up big. It's for practice, it's for pride, and Reverse gets another elimination onto Crunchy here, so they are closing that gap. We're kind of telling this story as a 2-horse race at the top right now, but third place, Daymir and Reverse, your FNCS champs, they're closing the gap with every elimination being worth 2 here, as Slacks, Jack, and Acorn are getting tagged up a little bit on this rotate as they're pushing on to Chimp, Tabney, and potentially Teo. There he is trailing from behind.
They have to be careful. Chimp, Tabney, and Teo have been on fire the last couple rounds, making it into endgame after endgame, fighting with the best of the best. So for Acorn, Slacks, and Jack right now, they may just find a team that's hot on the streak right here in top 10. It's an 8th place team. It may not be a team that's in the race for top 3 or first place, but it's a squad that still has thousands on the line here, and their reputation as well as one of the dark horse teams to really perform well this weekend, and they're doing it.
Yeah, 8th place team. This isn't an easy team to walk through right now. Jack, Slacks, and Acorn, we talked about how they've built up kind of like a legend of going for these mid-game fights, taking down full trios. We've seen has gone over to teams like Day, Miro, and Reverse, where we talked about how coming into today, Miro alone had more eliminations field as Acorn sets up, gets the big shots. This is huge right now when there was only a few eliminations separating first from second. If they get a full trio wipe here, or if they get taken out themselves, this is going to shift up the leaderboard so fast. Jack Slacks and Acorn are not playing scared. You would not think this was a team in first place right now because they are playing to push their lead forward, not just hold on to it.
The gameplay, it keeps freezing. It's not my game, guys, so don't think it's my game. And it's blurry because of the screen. I think it froze. We're just chilling here. And it's not my game, guys. My game didn't freeze. I'm moving and stuff.
Get finished off and taken out. Big performance, big win right there for Slacks, Acorn, and Jack. And you know what? It's still worth a lot. Like I said, to that 8th place team, there's thousands of dollars on the line now. If you slip out of the top 10, if you rank your way up to the top 5, the incremental pricing increase is crazy. You really want to stay in the running right now if you've made it this far.
Centered Edgy Commandment. Look at the loadout monster on Centered alone right now. This is what has made this player and made this team's reputation. They are the low ground kings for a reason. Coming out of Misty Meadows, that drop spot fits their playstyle perfectly because they get that almost guaranteed dragon shotgun. I've talked about it. Condor, the NPC at Misty Meadows, one of my favorite characters in the game because I also love that shotgun. Centered puts it to such good use on the low ground. I've talked about this before and people have always asked, how does Centered Edgy Commandment play low ground so well with the fire spreading from the dragon shotgun? Centered's aim is so good that if you didn't know you hit every single pellet on that dragon shotgun, the fire doesn't spread because it's absorbed by the player. And that's how deadly accurate Centered is with his shots, that's why you don't see this team running around in the fire builds on low ground. That is why they are so insanely dominant and they have that win condition right now on Centered.
It's the subtle things. It's the little things. And that's what separates, you know, the normal player from an exceptional one. These guys are well above the average. They're a cut above the rest. Several, if you will. But hold up. Take a look at Commandment, who's holding up this big tower here. Where is his teammates? Where is the rest of the gang? Are they inside the stealthy stronghold? Yes, they are. So they have a wide spread going on here. They have to be careful. Reverse 2K, Miro, and Day are moving up the mountain. If they sniff out, it's only one player up there. I mean, they're known to jump on those kind of weaknesses and take advantage.
They've got to be really careful. That's a big spread. And what an endgame right now. Hunter's Haven, it doesn't kind of get that same fear as what a Misty Meadows Mountain endgame does. But look at all the valleys. Look at all the hills. You've got that giant waterfall. You've got everything in this endgame. Pretty much no matter which way this pulls, it's going to be difficult for this team as you can just, even without the minimap, right, Monster, you'll be able to sense where the terrain is as all of these teams try to huddle up and get the prime position on these mountains to play into this endgame. No one wants to set up down in the valleys. Everyone wants to have their kind of, I don't know, their hair in the breeze up there as Acorn, Jack Slacks have a mountain. Clicks, Bizzle, Booger have a mountain. We saw the Commandment Centered Edgy have several mountains right now. Everyone's setting up for this end game.
All the big names are in position. They're where they need to be. Like we said, we saw Reverse 2K, Miro, and Day just on the opposite side behind that other little mountain there, sitting up underneath. Commandment, there they are, inside a building, being able to replenish all of their builds, which gets them nice and comfortable. But that's the widespread. Commandment's way over here, Sensitive and Edgy. Opposite side, they have to be careful. Even crossing back now to try to get back to Commandment is going to be a risky one. The longer they take, the more likely teams are to migrate on in. Luckily for them, there's not a lot of squads looking in here, not a lot of situated teams looking between this little crevice here, and they do get back, but look at the material it's costing them. That's a lot. That's a little setback for them.
And they get the tags out. Now, I noticed Center was actually juggling extra meds into their builds as well. He had spare big pots as well. Now they get the airdrop, so things looking fantastic for this team. 26 teams alive, 70 players. We are not going to get active surge, but we saw this last game. There was no 70 active surge, but it went down to the 50 as all the players that are still in this are focused up and they want to perform. Keep your eyes on that feed. You are looking for any of the top teams to go down. In case you've just tuned in, you don't know what's at stake. This is the last game, the 12th game of the NA NA East Trio Finals, and you have Slacks, Jack, and Acorn in first, Commandment Sense and Edgy second, Daymir Reverse in third, and all of them are jockeying right now, trying to take that first place, as you have Bucky's team in fourth and Clicks is in fifth. So those are all huge names. If any of them go down here, it will mean everything, as if one of these teams goes down before placement, that'll be it, and we'll see players run away with it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And look at the pressure going on here. Zypha and Twexy go down. I think that Stretch on the other side to pick up the loot, though. They're going to go ahead and snatch all this up right here real quick. You can see they start to mark it out, try to see what they can find. It's not going to be much, but yeah, those elims actually fall into Zayt and Saf's hand, so they don't get it. They still only have one elim, but at least they get some tags for it, so it's not for nothing.
I'm pretty sure we saw Slacks, Jack, and Acorn get that one elim as well, right? So that 5 points should still be holding right now. That is the difference. 5 points. Eliminations are worth 2. That is one trio wipe from having... There it is. That is the difference right now from first and second. And these 6 players are some of the most consistent. And honestly, I want to put it down to the most hardworking players in the community as well. Centered and Jack especially do not get enough credit for how much time they put into this game, how much effort they put into it, and how much it means to them. I know they're playing for first, not for the Champions pickaxe, not for the prize money, but for the pride and the accolades. That's why they do what they do, and I can't wait to see who walks away with it. I have my pick on Centered Edgy Commandment. I'd love to be right for my own pride, but honestly, seeing either of these teams win it will be so exciting, but who is going to be able to do it? They're both heading into endgame. All top 5 teams are still alive, Monster.
Yeah, it's about the dignity, that gratification you get from taking it all. That is what these guys are fighting for. That is literally the difference maker. It's what the best compete for. It's the adrenaline that you get in these big stages here. Acorn, Slacks, and Jack, though, let's evaluate the situation. Loot looking pretty decent. That's solid. Above the surge threshold as well. Very comfortably. That's going to last them a zone or two's worth. So I'm liking the position this team is in. I'm loving the load as we're circling through these 3 individual perspectives. There's chug splashes across the board. Big pots, minis, and shieldfish alike. This is solid.
Slacks, Jack, and Acorn have a winning loadout. Commandment Sense and Edgy also have a winning loadout right now. None of them have an excuse for how this endgame goes, but they are set up in very different situations. If Commandment Sense and Edgy manage to get this zone on top of them, it would be massive, as we have Notch, Jamper, Paper, and we have Booger, Clicks, Bizzle in 4th place. Everyone's setting up for this. We have 10 seconds. The final game, Monster. Half zone. Which way is it going to go? Who is going to be blessed and who is going to be challenged? Zayd's team in a very similar situation, right? And I even saw Bizzle take to Twitter to gloat about it a little bit. You don't want to see Bizzle, Clicks, and Booger fall there if you're a fan, because they've built up high and they're reinforced, but not quite enough for my liking for how high up they are. Jack, Slacks, and Acorn also got this zone right now. Saf is making his way across. Macwood is taking down Ages in the feed. Where is Centered Edgy Commandment? They had a complete opposite half. Have they made the rotate, and how are they going to get here? There they are. They're making their way through the builds, but once they come out here, once they hit the open air, it's all going to be down to them to pick the right paths. And what a good rotate from this team. They're splitting up a little bit, though. I hope Commandment Edgy are going to come back up centered. Looks like they're going to try and break their way through. They got to be careful here. There's a team in there. Centered takes some tags. This is your 2nd place team just making it to half. 1st place team is already in. They all have the loadouts. 3 teams to go down before placement. No one is going down early.
Yeah, let's not forget Reverse Suke Mirondare also out there amongst the wolves. There is so much threat here in the field. There is so much threat, and they're not just safe just yet. They're going to have to inch their way in just a little bit more. It's Avery on the other side of the wall. The other team that was to the left has already moved. They're gone. Here's Acorn, Slacks, and Jack trying to get another position up, trying to get a better angle coming into this new zone. There's so much congestion here because it went up and over the mountain. Now it's going to go down and out through the valley to the open field. This is a nightmare last game zone. This high ground hold from Clicks, Booga, and Bizzle, it's not good enough. This terrain is too volatile. They're going to have to give it up.
This is the zone that will literally wake you up in a cold sweat. This is nightmare fuel. It is going to go across and over the waterfall. You need to stay up. You can't drop down. One misplaced step, one wrong move, one wrong bouncer, one opponent that wants to break you out, and you are going to fall all the way to the very bottom and potentially fall out of your place on the leaderboard. But if you can stay up, if you can make it across, if you can bridge your way against all these players, you will survive and you will potentially win it. Look at that drop right now as Acorn is going down. No, Acorn, Jack, and Slacks. Very deliberate, phenomenal play from this team. Bouncing the front side, staying in line now. They want to be beneath everyone else's builds. They don't want to be the team on the top, and they don't want to rely on another team. They're building the tarps. They look phenomenal. Can Centered Edgy Commandment get down in such a good position as well, or are they going to fall early?
I like that they're keeping a low profile, staying away from the other opponents. It looks like they got a refresher as well. This is massive, and those are big pickups there. That's more loot for them to work with. That's more for them to go ahead and power their way through. They're one step closer to being your FNCS champions. This is such a race. All of the teams we need to be here are still here, and now that they're finding elims, it's going to allow them to continue to maintain the lead.
Everyone is still in this right now. We saw EU come down to the steamy endgame with the top teams all going head-to-head. You and me, Monster, said it's going to be hard for NA East to top that or even match it, but that is exactly what they're doing. All of our teams are up still here. We have a Nightmare Zone, Zayt, Saf, and Stretch, the kings of the high ground, are on height, Clicks, Boozer, and Centered so low right now. Commandment and Edgy, they're on the back foot. They're 70 below. This is their last-ditch effort. Bottom right, keep your eyes on that. Everything is on them. Only 37 above. They need to hold on. They are clutching it very little right now, Monster, to try and hold in this one. Centered goes down. It's just up to Edgy and Commandment. Jack, Acorn, and Slacks are still up, and they came into this game with a 5-point lead. Edgy, Commandment, what can you do to hold on to this?
And day finds night. Miro's gonna find the last tag onto Scented there too. So that's a team that's finding tags. Remember, it is a three-way race right here for first place. Look at it. There's Day's eliminations. Day gets knocked by Zayt on high ground. This is back and forth right now for all the teams that matter. And it's so much pressure on Edgy's back. Edgy brings someone down into the box. Will he be able to find it? It's back and forth, and I think he does. It's onto Aviv. They're going into a box-to-box fight. Right across from them, Jack, Acorn, and Slacks. They can see what's going on, but they're not looking across. They're looking down, and the punishment comes back. This is so close here.
Edgy's still picking up eliminations. We have our low ground kings with no low ground to play. This is essentially a sky base. Edgy goes down. It's all down to Commandment, but he's still getting eliminations in the feed. He has one, but he is now a solo in second place, versing a trio. He's stepping up. He's doing everything he can to hold on to this. Commandment has shown such skill here today. We've seen some of the best players I have ever seen in Fortnite, but Commandment needs that. Nothing short of pure brilliance will keep this team up here to take first place. You have Commandment as a solo going up against Jack, Acorn, and Slacks as an entire trio. He has no builds, trying to jump his way through this. He's dropping down. He's going to his home on the low ground, but in a zone like this, you don't want to be here. He's got nowhere to go. He jumps. That's it. Second place is down. Slacks, Jack, and Acorn in first place. They are still up. This is potentially their victory lap, Monster.
Yes, definitely now, and Acorn is trying to jump down. He gets taken out. It's up to Slacks here and Jack to pop off. Pull in as much as they can to solidify this home run. And let's see if they will be able to take it home on the low ground, though. Kanata, Macwood, and Bucky here still picking up points. The race for top 3 is on for them, and they've made it all the way to top 3 here today. So many eliminations. Who are we going to see make it back? Miro is still in this. That's a second place. Miro has so many eliminations. Wait a second. First place is not guaranteed for anyone. Not just yet.
It is not.
Will the FNCS champions do it? It's so close.
They took it down. Miro dropped down there. Miro actually managed to take out Slacks, Jack, and Acorn. Third took out first there for points. Kanata, Macwood, Bucky are down there. We have Zayt's team on the high ground. Kanata goes up right now. He goes off the bouncer. He has that legendary tax shotgun. Kanata takes down Saf right now. These are two of the biggest teams.
Gun for gun, shot for shot, blow for blow, and Bucky's team takes it. Kanata game.
But we also still had second place. Commandment Centered Edgy going into that. Centered went down early.
If you're wondering who
Had
won,
to make the desperate jump off high ground. He had no builds. Slacks, Jack, and Acorn went down. Wasn't enough. They went in on only a 5-point difference. Everything just shook up.
The fact Miro was there too. Miro had upwards of 10 eliminations as a trio there. They got third place. We know the significance of getting those placement points. They surely had more elims than Commandment. I don't know who's going to take this all.
Okay, I don't know who's going to take it. Either way, we have to throw it to the desk. That is going to be it from me and Monster D-Face. Aussie Antics, thank you so much.
Oh,
we
gosh.
appreciate us having us. Analysts, break it down because this is going to be so close. I don't know.
Okay, first off, before we say anything, all right, thank you, Monster D-Face. Thank you, Aussie Antics. If you guys are not following those two and these two, please take a second, because they poured their heart and soul into today, and we could not have asked for anything else. Okay. I can't believe that it came down to a 4-point difference. But your Trios champions out of NA East, who held on to the title, that's right, it's Slacks, it's Acorn, it's Jock. We are talking 4 points difference, boys. Commandment, Scented, and Edgy, they almost pulled out all the stops and overtook. But Slacks, his trio, they managed to hold on.
Wow. I mean, that last game that we've just watched had absolutely everything you could have completely asked for. The top 4 and 5 teams all alive in the top 6, plus Zay in there as well. And look at the difference. 4-point difference between Slacks, Acorn, and Jack, and Commandment, Scent, and Edgy. We saw Commandment, Scent, and Edgy in that last game struggle with the Storm Surge and eventually be taken down. And if they'd managed to get that little bit earlier, a little bit more surge, keep them going through the movement, keep them going a little bit further in that end game, man, we could have seen a complete changeover. And how can we not talk about Commandment's huge solo clutch that he made there, getting way more placement points after the other two had gone down? Like, every team here in the top, what an incredible performance today.
No doubt that Scented and Edgy were performing so, but I feel like there was just so many moments on the broadcast where we got to see Commandment alone in the end game, clutching up these points. And he clutches up the 2nd place for his trio. Like I said, Scented and Edgy probably played so well, but we just saw so many highlights from Commandment that I would go ahead and contribute that clutch factor to him edging that 2nd place out for his team. And yes, Aussie's prediction and Reese's prediction, you guys do surpass me by 3 points because Bucky and Kanata and Macwood secured the 3rd place spot with just 3 points behind. But man, looking at that top 5, Slacks, Commandment's trio, Bucky's trio, then Reverse's trio, and then Click's trio, like that is, I don't think we could have asked for like a better top 5 right there. That is a solid top 5.
I mean, over top 4, there was only 12-point difference from 1st to 4th.
Yeah.
Incredible. And look, we've not talked about as much about Slacks, Acorn, and Jack yet, right? We've just hyped up Commandment, Sent into Edgy, Bucky, Kanada, Macwood. These guys have obviously performed, but our first place slot, Slacks, Acorn, and Jack, I feel like visually watching them, you may not perceive them to be playing as well as they were because, they weren't popping off with massive elimination games coming into today as much. But listen to the placements. 4th, 10th, 3rd, 4th from their last 6 games today. Like, one absolutely incredible consistent placement. And as we all know, once you hit that top 3, that's when those big placement points kick in. So playing the format incredibly. So despite the fact that, they weren't getting as many eliminations as, Day's team, for example, we already saw them pick off massive amount of eliminations in day 1. They're just sheer incredible consistency coming out of Slacks, Acorn, and Jack. Blew it away. 4-point lead. Couldn't have been closer almost.
Listen, we talked about them every single weekend of those qualifiers, every single time in their heat, and we gave them so much respect. And I feel like in the finals, we were almost maybe a little tired about talking to me, like, we keep hyping these guys up and they're not winning. And, they flew on their radar. We're talking about all these other trios, and then they came out, they played these 12 games, they got the best average placement out of anybody. They ended with 6.83 average placement. The 2nd best average placement was 9. So they averaged 2 places better. Like, they played out of their minds. Congratulations to them, because I really do think that they deserve it. They played absolutely incredible.
It is absolutely amazing. Thank you, Fortnite fans, so much. Once again, congratulations to our new Trios champions. You want more Fortnite action? We'll make sure to stick around, because don't forget, we got NA West. We got another Trios champions to crown. Fortnite fam, we love you. Follow these incredible humans. We'll see you guys next season. As always, we'll see you guys on the battle bus.
Beep, beep.
Access to restricted file 8752. This is Agent Jones requesting access to restricted file 8752. Oh, really? No time to stabilize reality, but plenty of time to revoke my credentials. This is Agent Jones requesting access to all materials related to the 7. Oh, great! Okay, if you're not going to give me what I need, I'm just going to have to take it.